Hey guys, so today I'm really excited because everybody has been really positively reacting to me kind of mentioning in one of my goals videos that I wanted to talk a little bit more about the back end and the SEO and social media marketing side of BookTube and blogging in general and social media. So I figured one way to kind of talk about all that in a really concise manner and just kind of start getting some of those videos out there is to do the BookTube Real Talk tag. This has a lot to do with just assumptions about BookTube specifically, and I just thought the questions were really cool, and I thought it was a really good way to kind of put out my marketing information and things that I have learned through starting a BookTube channel, but also having a decently successful personal blog over at The Coffee Mom, working for a marketing company, doing their social media and content creation, and just all of the things that I do in my daily life. And I thought it would be really fun to kind of answer these questions, give you my perspective on some different things, and just maybe some of these questions will help you out, and maybe they won't, but maybe you'll find them interesting anyway. So let's go ahead and get into the BookTube Real Talk tag. The first question is, what is something that no one told you before you started your BookTube channel? Now this isn't something that no one told me, because I had been working in social media and content creation for quite some time before I actually started my BookTube channel. But something that I feel like is surprising to most people is how much time it takes to actually create the content. And I'm not talking about just the time that it takes you to sit down and film. That is the least amount of time, is the actual sitting down and filming. So it might take me, 20 minutes to film one video, but there is so much more that happens after that. And, you don't need to have the fancy cameras and fancy lights and stuff like that. But, having decent equipment helps, having just your cell phone that everybody has, some natural lighting, set up, film it. The setup takes some time depending on where you're filming, what you're doing. If you're working with natural light, then, time of day, you can only film during certain times of day and things like that. I do have, a DSLR. I do have, a Rode mic. I do have lighting, but that is because I had them all beforehand. And if I was starting out today, I would not just go and buy all those things, because they're, for one, not super cheap. My lights were not super expensive. I got them off Amazon for $50 or something like that. But the camera setup itself, things like that, you don't need the expensive stuff. So that's one thing. But I'm getting off track. Time. So taking the time. So before you even sit down to film, you typically will script out, or at least outline, jot down your notes on whatever it is that you're filming. I know I tend to, throughout the week, write down ideas, because I only film one day a week. So I tend to write down my ideas, and then if it's something that I feel needs a script, I will script it. Usually my only scripted videos are one-off reviews, so my standalone book reviews, and those are scripted, kind of. I usually write down my 3 pros, my 3 cons, anything I want to talk about. And so that way I have those notes there, so I don't draw a blank when I'm in front of the camera. So that takes time. And then you have to set up, I have to set up my tripod and put my camera on it, make sure my battery's charged, make sure my SD card is ready, put my mic on, make sure everything's working correctly, set up my lights. I am lucky enough that I have an office space in my house where I have everything pretty much permanently set up. I don't have to really set up and break down much, but I know that is not the case for most people, so that does take some time. Then you film, and of course, a 10-minute video might take you 20-30 minutes to actually film, because you're breaking and you're pausing and you're oh, I misspoke, and then you're restating something, and that takes some extra time. So once you're done finally filming, then you have to edit the video. Editing takes longer than the actual video is. It takes me probably about an hour to edit a video, depending on what the video is. Like, tags don't take as long. And if I don't really need to cut very much out, then again, they don't take very long. But like, I know me personally, I'm always getting interrupted. Like, a kid will come in and then like they'll talk to me for a little bit, or I'll have to get up and go answer the door. The dog starts barking, and all of those things make the editing take longer because you have to cut those out and then you have to move stuff around. Then you have to render the video. Depending on your setup, rendering can take forever. I have a custom built PC because my husband is in IT and he built it for me for Valentine's Day one year, and it's got an amazing amount of RAM and it edits videos very, very quickly, or renders videos very, very quickly. I know that will not be the case for most people. It takes some time to render. Then you have to upload to YouTube. So that takes some more time. And then you have to fill out the description box, which can take some time. It should take a little bit of time because when you're filling out the description box, that is your SEO friendly content. You want to make sure you get the proper keywords, words you want to be searched for in that title as well as in the description box in the first few lines. It doesn't have to be long. It's not a blog post, but you want to make sure that you are really taking time to fill out that description box fully, have a good SEO friendly, search friendly title, then you get it up. You also need a thumbnail, so you will need to take a picture of yourself or take a screen grab. I prefer taking a photo of myself and uploading that as opposed to grabbing a screen grab. I just find that it is more aesthetically pleasing and I am more likely to get a non-moving photo because I move so much in my videos. I just feel like the quality is better when I take the photos as opposed to grabbing a screen grab. I use Canva to actually make my thumbnails. I have a template. It's super easy, but it does take some time. Setting up the template originally is what takes a little more time, but Canva is super easy and user-friendly. You upload it, you schedule it, and then it goes out. But that is not the end of it. You have to promote that video, share it to social media. You have to make sure you are interacting with people in your comments, things like that. Little things that take much more time than people really think they do. That was only the first question. Sorry, this might be long. The next one is, what are your takes on your typical YouTube videos? TBRs, wrap-ups, hauls. I love them. I do them. I love them. And if you don't like them, that's fine. But here's the thing. Those typical YouTube videos perform better right off the bat. They just do. That is your type of content that will get high views right away. Your TBRs, your wrap-ups, your hauls. Those get the most views quickly. And there's a reason for that. People are very interested in it. Even if you say you hate them, people love watching them, but they love watching them right when they come out, right? So you can't have just that type of video. You also have to have evergreen content. A wrap-up is not technically an evergreen content. A haul is not really evergreen, and a TBR is definitely not evergreen. And when I say evergreen, I mean something that somebody is going to be searching for 6 months to a year from now. Seasonally even. So like your Christmas videos, Christmas gift guide for the book lovers. That is evergreen content because it is something that's going to be viable year after year after year, right? Like every Christmas, like I have posts on my blog that are like Christmas ideas for families, things like that. Those get traction every single, November, December time of the year. They don't get traffic all year long, but they start getting traffic as the holidays come around. That is evergreen content. Your book reviews are evergreen content. And I hear a lot of people talk about how they don't like doing standalone book reviews because they don't get as much traffic. And they're not wrong, but they're also wrong. They do not get enough traffic right away. So your TBR is going to get many more views than your standalone book review of this book off the jump. But people are going to be able to search for Six Crimson Cranes book review, watch your video a year from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now. Those are the videos that are going to continually get you traction. One of the books or One of the videos, as I've said before, that gets the most views on my channel is my 6 Crimson Cranes book review. It did not get that many views when I first uploaded it. And I can look in my analytics and I can see that most of those views are coming from search. Not people that are subscribed to me, not anything like that. They are coming from organic search. Use your analytics. See what people are watching. Now it gets the most views on my channel, but it still doesn't get as many views right off the jump. So this is why I think it's great to have TBRs and wrap-ups and things like that, but you can't have just that type of content. Another one is I do like recommendations. Those are things that are people like look for, right? People look for top 5 female fantasy books. That is something that people will look for over and over again, year after year, and it is still relevant in a year from now. Your TBR is not relevant a year from now, right? Like nobody is going to go be like January TBR in the search bar when it's like December. Like no one is going to be re-looking at stuff like that. But it's still important to have, and it's still good to have, and it's still fun, and I film it and I enjoy it. So I recommend doing a variety of content within your niche. So within your, since this is BookTube niche. So do different types of videos because they are going to attract different types of viewers. What is an assumption that you had about BookTube prior to starting, and did it prove to be correct or incorrect? And I don't really know for this one because I didn't have a lot of assumptions. And I think also part of that is my background in social media marketing. Like I kind of knew what to expect, but I think one thing that is a typical assumption is that it is one big happy community. And I do think mostly that's correct. I have met amazing friends. I have met people in person that I've met from BookTube. I went and hung out with Leslie multiple times, and Andrew from Andrew's Wizardly Reads. I've met Alan from Library of Alexandria. I have friends that I talk to every single day, like Vish and Abby Salter. And like Evie from She Was Only Evie. We had dinner with her when she was in town. And I absolutely love that. And that is something I think a lot of people think it's like this one big happy family. But there are also so many different niches within BookTube. So BookTube is huge, right? It is big. But there's like romance BookTube and people that talk about thrillers and mysteries. And then there's the fantasy side and the sci-fi side. And fantasy and sci-fi tend to overlap a little bit. So a lot of people will talk about both genres, which is something that I also do. But I think you have to really keep in mind your niche within BookTube. Because while it is great to read a multitude of things, if we're talking about searchability and your viewership, like people want to see the type of content that they want to see. Like people are coming to you because they want to see fantasy books or sci-fi books or romance books. So it's fine to branch out. I'm not saying don't branch out, but I'm saying kind of stick within what you are good at and you enjoy. Because I think that that's a big part of it, is read what you enjoy. And don't expect everybody to be your friend, because that's not going to happen. Like, yes, you're going to make friends, you're going to join Discords, and you're going to meet some really awesome people. But I think people go into it thinking that like everyone's your friend, and like they're not. Like not everyone's your friend. So like make a lot of friends, but keep in mind that not everyone is going to want to be your friend. So just kind of keep that guarded and stick to your niche. The next one is, what is something you've done that has helped you grow your audience? And, my audience is still pretty small on here, and I'm okay with that because I have a pretty engaged audience. And honestly, that's what matters more to me than like the follower number, is the engagement number. That is the number of people that are watching, liking, commenting, sharing, like interacting with you. And from a marketing point of view, your engagement number is actually much more important than your following number. Something that not everybody knows. But something that I do that has grown my channel is, for one, I stick with my niche. I stick with fantasy and sci-fi because that is what I enjoy, for one. And then for two, that is what people know that I am going to give them. And I also, like I said, do a variety of content. I do vlogs. I do, your typical YouTube videos. And then I also do your like standalone book reviews. I think having a mix of content is something that will really help grow your audience. I also share to social media platforms. And especially one little forgotten stepchild of social media is Pinterest. I make pins, share my videos and my blog posts to Pinterest. They might not get traffic right away, but that is an evergreen searchable platform. Pinterest is much more of a search engine than it is a social media platform. So you definitely want to share your stuff to Pinterest. Go on Canva, make a pin. They have templates for it. Share the link and some SEO friendly content in the description of your pin. Share it to Pinterest. Because while it might not get you traffic right away, it will over time. And that is what's important, is the longevity and the views over time. Don't sleep on Pinterest. Also, build an email list and a website, because social media can go away. You don't own YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. They own your content on that. Like, they own your content. They are hosting your content. Your website, you buy a domain name, you build a website, and you own that. You own that content. And especially an email list. You want to build an email list. Even if you're not sending out emails all the time, which I do recommend that you do, send out monthly newsletters, things like that. You definitely want to have that, because that is content that you own. And you really want to just diversify where you're posting your content. The next one is, what is a common mistake that you see a lot of booktubers making when they start? And that for me is the inconsistency. So a lot of people will start and they will be so excited and they will post 4, 5, how many ever videos a week. And then they just stop. And that is terrible for your audience and terrible for the algorithm. So if you don't think that you can consistently post 3, 4, how many ever videos a week, don't start out doing that. Post 1 video a week, but consistently post 1 video a week on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Every single Wednesday at 9 a.m., your video goes live, and that is what your audience learns to expect from you, and that is what the YouTube algorithm learns to expect from you. Remember, that algorithm, it is smarter than you are. On all these social media platforms, I promise you that algorithm is smarter than you are. And it is not out to screw you. It is not out to whatever. Like, there are certain things that we could talk about that I think algorithms do poorly, especially with social media, but a lot of that is not, that's more on the paid side, like the paid advertising side, but that's a whole different ballgame. But I honestly think consistency is the most important thing. If you, like, I post 3 videos a week. I post Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. That is when my videos go out. And lately I've also been trying shorts. And I try to post like short videos around like 5 p.m. That's just something I'm testing out. I'm not saying you have to, but I think because shorts is a new feature, it's very important to do. With any social media platform, whenever they release a new feature, jump on it. Instagram Reels, for example. When Instagram Reels first came out, people were like, and ho-hum, and not really wanting to do it. But people that jumped on Instagram Reels early saw an insane increase in views and engagement and follower count. And that's because any social media platform, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be, wants people to use all of their features. They want people to use their newest features especially. So if you can make shorts videos, I recommend making them. I know for me personally, I started using idea pins on Pinterest. I will never stop preaching the value of Pinterest. And those idea pins, they're basically TikToks, they're basically Reels, they're basically shorts, and you just upload them and I get a ton of views on them. Now that does not always translate into traffic, but it translates into engagement on my Pinterest platform. And therefore, the more my Pinterest profile is engaged on, the more people will see my other pins that do have links in them to click out to go through to my website or my YouTube channel. So a lot of people just aren't using new and upcoming different things that platforms are releasing, and they're not being consistent. So be consistent and try new things. And a tip for all of those of you who want to try using like idea pins and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels and TikToks, they can all be the same video. That's what I do. I film them with no sound, right? Like a sound in my head kind of, but like I film them with no sound. And then I can add sound on each platform, or you can add sound in InShot, which is like a free editing app that you can get on your phone. And you can use that same content in multiple different places. That will save you time. What are your thoughts on working with publishers and sponsors? Ooh, this one's juicy. So I might have a different opinion than a lot of people, but that goes back to the fact that between 2016 and 2018, my main and only form of income was sponsorships on social media and my blog. Not necessarily BookTube, but same thing. I think they're fantastic. I, as a marketer, think they're fantastic for the brand. As long as you and the brand align on things like your values, your niche, and your audience, I think they're fantastic. I do think that there's a lot of people that will take absolutely any sponsorship they can get, whether or not it matches their audience, and I think that is a bad thing. But when you take on sponsorship deals that will benefit your audience, things that you actually love, things that, fit your niche. Like, it would be really weird of me to come on here on a book channel and talk about, I don't know, dog food, right? But like, then again, you can kind of also connect that in your brain, right? You can be like, okay, well, I show my dog in my vlogs. And I know a lot of my audience has pets because I have talked to them in Discords and things like that. We've shared pictures of our pets. So if I can tie it into a video and make it make sense, then I would have no issue doing it. Think of it this way. Say I did a video, my animal companions video, and it was sponsored by a pet food brand. I think that would kind of make sense. You work it into the video in an organic way. But you also don't want to be over-sponsored. You don't want every single video to be sponsored. And I know people will get annoyed by that. But creating these sponsorships is so much more difficult than I think most people realize. So much more work. Even more work than creating just a normal YouTube video. I could probably spend a whole video talking about sponsorships and my thoughts on them and how to do them and all of that, but I think they are fantastic, and I think creators deserve to be paid for their work. And I know people are like, but it's not that much work and da-da-da-da. You're wrong. And it is providing a benefit to this company because these companies are spending much less money paying content creators than they would in traditional marketing. Do you know how much a magazine ad costs? A TV spot commercial? A radio commercial? Yo, it's expensive. So paying a creator hundreds, thousands, whatever dollars really is nothing out of their marketing budget, I promise you. And they're getting a larger organic reach to a targeted audience. So when approaching sponsorships, make sure that you are only using brands you like, things along those lines, like the obvious. Be yourself. And I say no to sponsorships all the time. Not here, but like on my other stuff. I say no to sponsorships that I think don't fit my brand. They don't fit my audience, things like that. So I will pass. And honestly, I will also pass on brands that I like and use if I don't think they're going to pay me appropriately. Because if they want my content rights, which a lot of them will want content rights, you gotta pay me for that. And I think that it's getting better. It's getting to a point where brands are more willing to pay creators what they're worth, but we have to stand up for ourselves a lot. And I'm willing to talk to anybody about sponsorships. I look over contracts, so I always have a contract. If you do a sponsorship, always have a contract. Even if they're like, oh no, we'll just ship it to you, and then we'll always have a contract. Either write one yourself, there's templates online, or have them write one. Always have a contract. Always have a contract and a content brief. Very important to have so you can cover your own butt if necessary. And then the last question is BookTube dying? No. I do not think BookTube is dying. I don't think social media is dying. I think it is changing, but I don't think it is dying. I've heard people say that BookTube is dying, but I don't think so. There are so many booktubers out there with much larger platforms that are getting amazing content deals, and they're putting out some fantastic content. And I don't think it's dying. I think it's still extremely beneficial to publishers. I think it's beneficial to the greater community of just readers that don't create content because they are searching and Googling and looking up reviews and recommendations and things like that. So no, I don't think it's dying. I do think it's changing with the rise in TikTok specifically. There are more book talkers, and that is fine. I don't think it needs to be a competition between what social media platform you're on and the content you're posting, because it is different. Like TikTok is short form content. YouTube is long form content. Those are different kinds of content. I think diversifying yourself and trying different things out is fantastic. But that doesn't mean YouTube is dying because like there's a rise in TikTokers or Instagram Reels or whatever. It just means that things are changing. But I don't think it's going anywhere because, you know, it's still relevant. People are still watching it. And here's the thing with what I said, a lot of people, they will go on their computer or go on their phone and Google so-and-so book review. One of the first things that's going to pop up is going to be first your ads, like anything you see that says like ad next to it, which is usually like the first 2 or 3 results in Google. That is paid. That is something that people have paid for. I'm not as familiar with the back end of Google Ads Manager, but I have done it before. I've played around with it. We have people at work that do that specifically. And then you're going to see like your snippets, which are usually blogs, things like that. YouTube videos come up in Google search and they usually rank really high. Like you will always see videos when you do a Google search of things like that. So that is why I don't think that BookTube is dying, and it won't die anytime soon. All right, guys, this is a little longer than I expected it to be, but hopefully you enjoyed that. I think that some of my answers might be a little different than the majority of people, just based on my experiences working in marketing, working with brands. I've worked on both sides. So I have worked as the brand hiring influencers, and then I have worked as the influencer. And I know we all hate the word influencer. I personally don't, because it is what it is. It is the marketing term. I don't hate the word influencer, and you shouldn't either. It just is. Content creator, whatever you want to be called. I think I enjoy bringing this perspective to my BookTube channel and relating it back to BookTube, maybe helping other booktubers that are really confused by some of this. I'm very open with it. I'm very open with what I charge. I'm very open with brands I've worked with and things like that. So if you ever have questions or want to reach out for me, just DM me on Instagram. I don't really use Twitter, so don't tweet at me because I will never see it. DM me on Instagram, anything like that. Just let me know and I will gladly answer any of your questions that you have. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. My name's Jessie and I will see you next time. Bye.